in terms of Qigong, so do you want to say what I love the definition of Qi? Do you want to explain to us what Qigong is?
Well, Isabel, you're as much of an expert or more than I am on Qigong. I'm a mere poor practitioner who's trying to study it right now. But when we talk about the access of immune wellness, we talk about diet, we talk about exercise, we talk about sleep, and then this access over here we call stress, okay? And that's that's an oversimplification, but that's the the exigencies of modern life. And we know that there are techniques to modify stress, to decrease our loneliness, to improve our capacity for social interactions, to become less anxious, to become less depressed, that are integrative techniques, that are not pills and chemicals. And we classify these into two broad categories: top down, which comes from the brain and mind, and we just talked about that. That's mindfulness meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And then bottom up, and that's using our bodies to do this. And we have many things, including the ones that we're most interested in here are Qigong, Tai Chi, yoga, things that have been around for thousands of years. There are also other natural therapies, ranging, as you say, you're talking about the healing power of music, Feldenkrais, hypnosis,
Yes.
on and on and on. But let's focus for a bit on Qigong. I have done yoga. I'm not very good at it. I actually have a spondyloarthritis variant, which makes very tight hamstrings, and I'm not very good at it. It's not. It's not for me, and which is very important, actually. And
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to hear your take on this. Is that you have to find the thing that works for you.
It's
not one thing doesn't work for everyone. And
fully
then
agree. Fully agree.
And so then Tai Chi, which is an ancient, martial art origin, highly choreographed,
Yes.
mind-body exercise, which I have taken class in, and very demanding. A lot of memorization of movements. I find it quite challenging. And this has actually been reduced for medical purposes too. From the over 100 steps to 20 steps.
Yes.
Tai Chi shit.
Yes.
And I know a lot of people who love it. Qigong, on the other hand, is a system of kind of it is ancient as all of them. It's coordinated body posture and movement, breathing. There's a component of focused attention and meditation.
Yes.
There is it combines elements of martial arts training, and as well as spirituality, and over more recent times, it has been deeply rooted in traditional Chinese medicine,
Mm-hmm.
as a healing aid. And I didn't know much about it. I was interested in all these techniques to work on this axis, and there's a rich world of online offerings, and I tried it for myself, and it really clicked for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I recognized that it could be as demanding as Tai Chi, with very physically demanding aspects. And then there were other elements that were so subtle and so gentle, that used breath and focused attention and posture. And I thought, well, if all these patients that I see that range from people that can't get out of a wheelchair to get to the bathroom, versus people who are highly energetic but stressed out, perhaps something like Qigong could be tailored to the individual to heal them. And that's what we've been working on, trying to develop programs that can where people can pace themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that word pacing deserves some explanation. Maybe we'll get to it later on.
Yeah.
But I believe that, it's not one size fits all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I started doing this in my office right here. And I found that I could do this on my breaks. I said, well, I've got to introduce this to my patients. And, it was easy to start with, of directing them to different sites, but I would have to talk to them about pacing. And then I started doing it with my patients in the room. And I told them what this meant to me and to my degree of wellness. And, once I did that, once they saw me do a few gentle movements, I could see that it transformed their whole notion of this. This was like a bond.
Yes.
And so that's where we decided, well, we're going to study this formally. And like you, I know you have such a strong interest, and you have the same goals. I'm very excited about this moving ahead.
Oh, I'm so excited. Thank you for doing this. And I always love hearing that researchers are doing this. I will say one of the things that drew me towards Qigong is the idea that of the Qi. So the way I explain it to people who have no idea what Qigong is, and it's funny, it's usually physicians that have no idea what this is. In my group, at least, of friends and family. The way I personally explain is to say the Qi is the life energy. So you spell it QI, and the life energy, and there is life energy around us, and then there's life energy in us. And exactly the way that acupuncture, that when you're trying to unlock the blockages that are going on in your body because of the Qi not moving, flowing, without any issues, you're using acupuncture. You can actually use Qigong to do this. And so this is actually fascinating to me. So you're using your movement to move the Qi, but there's a whole area of Qigong where you can use your mind to move your body,
yes,
which I find fascinating because, as you mentioned, someone that's in a wheelchair, you can actually tell them you can move inside your brain. Like you can actually imagine that you're moving the Qi inside of your body, which is so powerful. Like someone that has a stroke telling them to move in their mind is so powerful.
And I use a lot of seated Qigong as well, particularly people with postural orthostatic tachycardia, et cetera. It's a great way to start. And we have a very big POTS program here. And the guy that heads it, Robert Wilson, is becoming a certified Qigong.
Oh, wow.
So we're all into this, but we're ready to study it in a way like we looked at mindfulness meditation at the molecular level, and apply this to fatigue-like states, neurocognitive states, including long COVID, which is where we are headed with this.
Yes. No, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for all of those information on what studying you're doing, what research you're doing on Qigong. I'd like to take us to the healing effect. And the reason I'm so interested in this is that, when I got diagnosed with stage 4, and I didn't actually look at the statistics because I was like, I don't want to know about what are the chances of potentially dying. And so I was like, I'm going to make sure that my mind is very clear, in a very positive state. And I've been fascinated and so involved with the idea of what is placebo. And when we had this discussion, a little discussion before you came into the podcast, you told me we actually call it healing effect now. And I love it because it is so much more than just placebo, right? It's this relationship between you and the patient. It's the relationship. So especially in at a time where the relationship doesn't seem to have so much importance anymore, and I sometimes get to see, like, in a lot of places, I hear that, you see the patients once and then someone else is seeing them, and there's a lot of turnover. How can we, establish that relationship with the patient, and how can we make sure that the healing effect works, and how can we use it in our, on our
Yes.
side? Because it's so powerful. We keep thinking, oh, this is not good, we should not use it, when it's so important because it adds to our patient's life. Can you tell us what you have
Yes.
found?
So for the listeners, placebo, everyone has an idea of what placebo means. And unfortunately, as you said, it has many negative connotations. It involves some trickery, that you're tricking a person into thinking that they're feeling better. And it also is misunderstood that it involves the application of some type of inert substance, like here's a pill to take here. So both of those are outmoded notions, and that we know what placebo effect is that people who can feel well in response to some type of intervention that is not pharmacologically based. It's in a study. Somebody gets the active pill and somebody gets the quote sugar pill, etc. So it's an inert substance, but at the end of the day, both patients have less pain, less fatigue, more well-being. Trying to figure this out, as it turns out, one of the most powerful placebos is the way that the practitioner and the patient interact with each other. And this has been known for centuries. And one doctor says that he is such a great doctor. His patients love him. That used to be thought of as good doctoring.
Yes.
And it still is good doctoring. And some people innately do this. Others say, like, oh, he's really smart, but he's not. He doesn't listen to people, and he doesn't do this and do that. Well, it's been found through detailed studies over the past several decades that relationship can be cultivated to generate placebo response. Now placebo response is particularly good in these wellness domains of making people more empowered. It's been shown that people who generate this do better with all their diseases, including cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And the domains in this interaction include things such as professionalism. That means the patient is more confident in that practitioner, that he knows what he's talking about. Warmth and empathy, and this is the area that I'm particularly interested in, where two people can arrive at the same wavelength. That empathy is being able to stand for a moment in that patient's shoes, and that patient knows it. That kind of that instantaneous moment of mutual sharing, very, very potent. And that's between that is not only just the doctor or the nurse sitting there talking to the person, but the acupuncturist.
Yes.
If they have that relationship, it makes their tools more powerful. The environment of the setting, being seen in a calm environment with, good. I have my aromas going in my office all the time, and I like to surround myself with things. And when my patients come and sit in my office, they go, "Oh, this is wonderful." So all of these things can be manipulated and taught and tested. And my colleague and collaborator, Dr. Luana Caloca, from the University of Maryland, one of the foremost placebo researchers in the world, said, the whole name placebo to the public is so negative that this interaction should be named the healing effect. And I love that. And I think when I do Qigong with my patients, that's part of the healing effect. When you validate them, it's part of the healing effect. No matter what you have, this notion of it's all in your mind is so negative. It's so derogatory. This is, Rene Descartes, there was the mind and the body. Well, we don't think that way. We are one thing. And, I tell my patients invariably, I hear you. Your symptoms are real. They're not in your head, and they're not your fault. So let's start there. And, maybe that settles the anger down, because I've been to so many places and I've heard so many things. And now we talk about, what we can do to make you well. And, that does not negate the fact that we are using every technique and every molecular therapy and every targeted therapy in the world and looking for the, molecular basis of their illness. But we don't stop there. We combine this in a way that we do both. I mean, it's not an either or gambit. And I'm very interested in teaching this in the medical school. And I talk about this with clinicians. And when they hear this, it registers to most.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting, because especially in the rheumatology world. So I see patients post-COVID, but I've realized that a lot of my colleagues do not like to see patients post-COVID because they feel that they have nothing to offer them. And I'm like, no, we have us to offer them. Like, that is huge. Like, this relationship that we have, this listening, this active listening, this like teaching them about, meditation, mind body exercise, Qigong. And to me, that is actually probably even more powerful than a medicine, than a drug.
Well, it is right now, because we don't have many medicines. And we make the diagnosis, we treat things that we can, if there's dysautonomia, there's things to do. But, patients who come are often panicked, and they're not empowered. And this only serves to amplify symptoms that all of us have at some time. We all have pain, we all have fatigue, we all have sleep disturbances, we all have anxiety. Those things are biologically integrated into our symptoms. COVID as a pandemic has ramped up all of those problems in our society as well. So, people who listen to this conversation, I think most people get it, but there are some people who say, well, you're just saying this is all, psychologic. That is the last thing in the world we're saying. There is no psychologic. There is no immune system. There is no brain. It's one. And that's why one of the handouts that I gave you, I said, brain and immune system are one organ. The immune system is the seventh sense of the brain. And we need to be able to work with it and manipulate it. And I am just so excited to, engage in this research, and I'm even more excited to engage in it one-on-one with my patients.
The immune system is the seventh sense. I love this. I will tell you that it is so powerful to hear someone that has so much research background talk about this, because sometimes patients are afraid that we are sharing with them something that's woo-woo, or sharing with them something that, like, basically almost like, oh, just do mind-body medicine and that's it. Like, okay, I'm not going to follow up with you. Like, it doesn't matter. Just do this, right? And hearing you share the science behind all of those techniques, also saying that, look, we're still learning, so there's probably more that we're going to discover. That is so powerful. I mean, I wish I had, it's funny. I wish I had had this conversation before my cancer, because for me, there was a constant battle between my left brain and my right brain. My left brain told me like, this is useless, this is woo-woo, what are you doing? And my right brain was like, well, I feel good, so it doesn't matter. I feel good. I just had chemo and I'm still feeling okay. And I feel good doing Qigong and I feel good doing meditation. So I'm going to continue to do this. And it's only later that I had the time to really sit down and start looking at the research behind all of those. And hearing you share this is so powerful, because we can actually tell our patients, look, there is all of those things you can do.
It's empowering
yes.
It's an empowering message. And that's how I call immune strength. And hopefully soon we'll be able to, make this available widely. Is that, once people understand the brain immune relationship, I say, you have a disease of the immune system that is, interwound and everything about your mind, body, and spirit, and that you have the power to modify that, because they're not separate things. They're together. So, if I know that I can affect my immune system through how I eat, how I sleep, how I exercise, and how I handle my stress, that's an empowering message. You're going to do it or you're not going to do it. You can do it, and let's do it together.
Yeah. I love this. I think that this is such a good message to finish this episode on, which is that there is so much that we can do as patients. There is so much that everyone can do as patients or non-patient, and so that we do not become patients. But the mind, body, we forget that the body, like we forget to listen to our body. I think that's a number one. So we forget, we work a lot in our brain, when you're looking at a video. And I think that's extremely powerful to learn about all of those things that we can do. Anyway, so Dr. Calabrese, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us and your research. I really hope we can do another episode later, that you can come on the platform again. It has been such an honor, such a pleasure to have you among us. Do you have any words of wisdom that you want to share before going and before closing this episode?
No, I want to congratulate you for this podcast and your own journey, sharing it with everyone. It is an empowering message, and I'm just privileged to be here. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please reach out if you think that I can work with you and I can help you achieve the best life for you. Do not hesitate. On AmiguesandDr.com, there's a contact form. Ask to be a new patient. Ask for information. In the meantime, you can share this podcast and share it with someone that you love and that you think will benefit from it. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next week.